So as we welcome Coptic minister and our dear friend Lori France, a retired teacher from Mott Community College in Flint, Michigan, having spent 20 years in the Michigan school system as a high school teacher and community college instructor. She has studied metaphysics also since the mid-1980s and became a Coptic minister in 2007. She facilitates daily study groups via email with the Course in Miracles, as we gave that offering to you just moments ago. And she continues to study non-dualism and the meaning of oneness from many traditions as we embrace Lori's message tonight with illness is disease.
Okay, so hello to everyone again, and welcome to this little talk about dis-ease. And I think it's very important for us to look more closely at what illness is. So let's get some insights from our wonderful master, Hamid Bey, of course. And he mentions the word disease many times in his lessons, and he gives us some profound information about how the illness of our body is related to the dis-ease in our thoughts, in our mind. So let's just jump right in. Okay, in lesson 115, in a section called The Changing of Your Mind, he shares this wisdom. The feeling you have in your body must be in your mind first. If you find aches and pains in your body, you will find trouble in your environment. And you can be sure that it has come through your mind some way, somehow. And a little bit further in the same section, he adds that what you have is the ability to control your thinking, which results in feeling or emotion. If the emotions are good, you are blessed. If the emotions are bad, you are punished, full of irritation. Irritation of the mind becomes irritation of the flesh. Then we say we are sick, that we have a disease. So what does disease mean? And he, in this particular place, he actually spells this with a hyphen, D-I-S hyphen E-A-S-E. And he says it means out of ease. We do not have to be out of ease when we know we can go the other way by changing our mind. So he's telling us how the illness of the body is caused by dis-ease in the mind. And a really important point here about changing our mind is about how the mind we speak of is not just the conscious thinking mind, but more importantly, almost 90% of our mind, which is the subconscious mind. We are given more insights into this in lesson 137, which is the source and power of healing. And it's a section called Vibrating Frequency. And here he says, if your mind can cause a vibrating frequency which causes illness in your body, can it not, by the same token, change to a vibrating frequency that will heal that illness? That is, to change the mind from a negative to a positive vibrating frequency. It is more difficult to be positive in our thoughts than negative because of being surrounded by so much negativity. I feel sure that if we could be isolated from so much negation, there would be less disease. To have an ailment, there must be thought of ailment in the subconscious mind because we are always setting up a subconscious pattern. The subconscious mind does not have the power of discrimination. It's just like a mirror in that it reflects back everything placed in front of it. Therefore, the subconscious mind will reflect and strengthen any thought entertained in the conscious mind. For this reason, to overcome any ailment or any problem, the thought of the trouble must be replaced. The thought of the trouble must be replaced with a thought that which we wholeheartedly wish. So if you have a health problem, you must concentrate on health. Visualize yourself as having a healthy body and hold to that visualization. Think positively. Then your mind will become in tune with that which you visualize. Then the rate of the vibrating frequency of the energy which you pour from your conscious mind will remove any negative vision you may have placed before your subconscious mind. So, wow, that's pretty powerful bit of information. And it's how the vibration we send out with our thoughts are encapsulated into the body by our subconscious mind. And I have mentioned this before, but I want to bring up a very important book titled The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And it was written back in 1963. This is a classic that will help anyone understand the depth of the subconscious mind. And at the end of each chapter, he writes some pointers to review. So one of these pointers says that your subconscious is the builder of your body and is on the job 24 hours a day. You interfere with its life-giving patterns by negative thinking. And this is exactly what Hamid Bey was telling us as well. So Murphy tells us to watch our thoughts. Every thought that is accepted as true is sent by your conscious mind to your subconscious and is brought into the world as a reality. And I'd like to share a little story here about my mother. That seems to be the life my mother lived most of the time while she was here on planet Earth. And what she accepted as true certainly was based on her experience as a child growing up. And I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but my mother became a very important example to me about how the mind creates health issues. She made frequent visits to her doctor, almost once a week, and her health issues were ongoing. And one New Year's Day, quite a few years back, we spent many hours in a hospital emergency care room because she was fearful about some stomach pain. So after a very long time, a doctor finally came out to tell her that she was constipated. And I remember jokingly saying to her, "You mean we've been here all day because you're full of shit?" Oops, don't know if I'm allowed to say that, sorry. But why was she constantly complaining about health issues? This became very clear to me as I became more familiar with how the mind creates these problems. When my mother was a young child growing up in the 1920s on a farm in northern Michigan, she was one of 12 brothers and sisters. And the family lived in what I would describe as a tiny shack house that was basically one bedroom and a tiny kitchen, no running water, wood stove, and a tiny table. The brothers and sisters slept together in a loft that you got to by climbing up a ladder, and the loft was full of straw. There were no beds. My grandfather was unfortunately a serious drunk. And unless the children were sick, they were in danger of being beaten. So my mother's safety zone was to be ill. She lived with that until she was about 15 years old, and she was married off to a 34-year-old man in 1937, who was my father. Of course, when she aged some and got older herself, her safety zone continued to be illness. So this repetitive behavior became implanted in her subconscious mind. And Hamid Bey also confirms how these childhood memories can be implanted in our minds so deeply that it can become the focus of our adult lives. And in lesson 336, titled Miracles of Healing, he tells us that each day, all your thoughts, which you forcefully think, are recorded in your subconscious mind. What you listen to on the radio, and I guess today we'd probably say television, what you read in the newspaper, what you witness, which impresses you, all the thoughts of love or hate which you may dwell upon. Many people do not realize the power of their subconscious mind, so that they say that their life is filled with good luck or bad luck, whereas they are living according to the pattern projected into their subconscious mind. And Hamid Bey adds to this, negative thoughts will become manifest in your life because your life is the result of the thoughts placed in your subconscious. And once you realize this, you will not wonder why you are sick or unhappy. If we wish to be free from ailments, we must eliminate from our thoughts the fear of illness. We must fill our subconscious mind with good ideas and thus build a good life for ourselves. And that statement about projecting our subconscious thoughts from childhood that we can grow up with and be totally unaware of is also a very important point. So here I would like to mention another book, and two books actually, by Louise Hay. Her best-selling book was You Can Heal Your Life, which maybe some of you have a copy of this anyway. And the second book about that was called Heal Your Body, The Mental Causes for Physical Illness and the Metaphysical Way to Overcome Them. She covers every type of illness or dis-ease in her books. And on the topic of cancer, she mentions a deep hurt or a deep secret of grief eating away at the self as being a major cause. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that I would like to share another personal story with you about my wonderful Ron, who passed this earth life in 2016. He was originally diagnosed with colon cancer in 2015, and over the next year, that slowly spread throughout his body and also became bone cancer. I'm sure that Ron would be happy if I shared this with you because it contains an important message for us all. So during that year when I was taking care of Ron, one evening while he was lying in bed, he suddenly began to cry. And he was actually sobbing with tears running down his face. He had suddenly remembered something that he was not consciously aware of at all during his adult years. But when Ron was quite young, at the age of 12, his mother was diagnosed with a debilitating disease. And Ron was often given the job of being her caretaker. And one day, Ron was just being a normal kid, and he was outside and playing with some friends. And his mom was in the kitchen, and she was boiling some water on the stove. But she didn't have full control over her body or muscles. And she dropped the pot of boiling water on herself, causing further damage to her body. She managed to hang on until Ron was 15, And after she passed over, Ron's father said to him that he was responsible or guilty of his mother's death. It's a terrible thing for a father to say to his son, but he did. And Ron had buried that statement deep in his subconscious mind all of those years after that. Then suddenly, over 50 years later, it came up in his conscious mind, and there was the deep hurt sense of guilt that he had buried all those years. And that's a very, very powerful example of projecting our subconscious thoughts from childhood. So there can be many things said to us by our parents, siblings, family members, or whoever when we were growing up. And these statements can be buried in our subconscious mind. So what do we do now? What type of thoughts do we continue to implant on our subconscious mind? And Murphy tells us that thoughts of jealousy, fear, worry, or anxiety tear down and destroy our nerves and our glands, bringing about mental and physical diseases of all kinds. So how can we fix this? Murphy says, know that you can remake yourself by giving a new blueprint to the subconscious mind. And he also tells us that it's normal to be healthy and abnormal to be ill. And we also build a new body every 11 months. So change your body by changing your thoughts and keeping them changed. And a great way to change your mind is to charge your subconscious mind with positive thoughts during sleep. And I'd like to recommend here a tactic that you may find helpful, especially if you have any problems with getting to sleep at night. And this is on YouTube, maybe other places, but this is free to view or listen to. And you may want to listen to a sleep video as you drift off to sleep, because these are geared toward making positive affirmations about your body, like I am happy, healthy, healed, and whole. One of these channels on YouTube that I like is called Progressive Hypnosis. And these videos can be an hour long or 3 hours long or 8 hours or more. But the voice on the video is sending positive healing thoughts to your subconscious mind all during the night. And that works because your subconscious mind does not sleep. I think you're aware of that, right? Your subconscious mind never sleeps. So here are some more insights from Hamid Bey on this from lesson 167, the power of suggestion and meditation. And here he tells us that you will need to do, visualization of that which you want to accomplish with repeated concentration until the seed thought is firmly placed in the soil of your subconscious mind. Sorry. Do not say to yourself that you do not want such and such. Instead, say what you want, even going into detail about anything you wish to accomplish. By doing this, eventually there will be coordination between your conscious and your subconscious, and your desire will come to fulfillment. Follow the same procedure if you want to rid yourself of a certain ailment. For no ailment, physical or mental, is beyond solution when the law of the subconscious is put into operation. And I'd like to emphasize what was just said in that lesson, that you must make only positive statements. Because if you say, I do not want to have cancer, or this or that, you are not making a positive statement. The subconscious mind does not hear or understand the not in your statement. It is only hearing, I want to have cancer. Mm-mm. So as Hamid Bey just told us, do not say to yourself that you do not want such and such. That's a really important point for us to know. Be careful how you make your so-called affirmations. Make sure they're positive and don't can have anything negative in them at all. So make only positive statements about your health and you will achieve your goal. So, okay, that's it. And let's see if you have any questions or comments, or maybe somebody has a story themselves they would like to share with us. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Lori. The Power of Our Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy, a fantastic book. I'm glad you shared excerpts from that and Master Hamid Bey's thoughts as well. So much of our thoughts override our mental well-being and physical well-being too. So I'm glad you really touched on that. Trying to think of a question that I have. It's still formulating in my mind. So I open up the floor to anybody that has comments, suggestions, thoughts, experiences to share with Lori tonight.
Yeah, Lori, I really enjoyed your presentation. And one thing I heard a lot from Hamid Bey, and I knew him very well, and he said many times, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, don't mess with Mr. In between. It's short but sweet, but it is effective, and it creates emotion, and that emotion creates positive thoughts, and it comes very quickly.
He also said, I believe.
I believe.
I believe. And that, reinforces whatever you say after that.
Just make sure it's positive.
It's positive. Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's the idea of the personal journey that we're all taking and health issues, et cetera. It can be very difficult for us to, I don't know, ingrain this into our minds about how we are actually creating the problem. Because we like to think we're just going to the doctor and they're saying, oh, you got this or that. And it's like, oh, well, it's not my fault, but, well, you created it. That's tough.
Or you say, oh, my aching back. Or you're killing me, or I'm sick and tired. Your subconscious hears all that and then tries to do something with it. So,
Yeah, especially I'm sick and tired. Oh, no. Don't want to say that one.
My son used to, when he was younger, say, it kills me that this happened, or it kills me that happened. And I thought, don't say that. Stop that. Stop it. You have to make positive statements when you start a sentence. He doesn't do that anymore. I don't know what actually got him out of it, but I was so grateful that he stopped saying those things.
One thing that I will interject here that is very much related to what Barbara was just saying. When I first learned about the power of the mind and the power of belief and the way that affirmations and other statements get taken by the subconscious mind, I found myself constantly monitoring every single word and phrase that I even thought. And at first I thought that, okay, I'm just trying to be practical. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm focused in the right direction and all that kind of stuff. But eventually I realized that the reason why I was so concerned about the presence of a negative word or a negative phrase was because I failed to believe that the positive thoughts overpowered the negative thoughts. It's like I could think 100 positive thoughts, but then one negative thought would creep in, and then I'd focus so much on that one negative thought. Oh no, that's bad, that's bad. I completely forgot about the 100 positive thoughts that came before that, or the possibility of another 100 positive thoughts that would come after that, that would more than counterbalance it. So it's not the presence of any one thought that's going to create your reality. It's the overall balance of your thoughts. It's the overall balance of your beliefs. And so the idea that one idea or one word can really screw everything up for you, you kind of have to put everything in perspective. And there is one thing that I will disagree with Lori on one point, is that's this common idea that is expressed by a lot of people about the subconscious mind cannot process a negative thought, a negative word, like the word not. That is absolutely false, because the subconscious mind is what gives us our language. Like right now in the words that I'm saying, my conscious mind is not choosing what words that I'm saying. My conscious mind is simply repeating what my subconscious mind has given me. And so if my subconscious mind did not understand the negative, the subconscious mind would not give me the word not. Our subconscious mind understands all of language, the positives and the negatives. It does hear the not if that is where your focus is. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do that. If your focus is on the not, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to allow that to happen. Your subconscious mind hears where your focus is. Now, the example that she said about, I'm not going to get cancer, that is an example where the word cancer might have had more of an emphasis. It might get more of your subconscious mind's attention. And so that is a phrase that you would like to avoid. But it's not necessarily because of the word not in there. It's because of where your focus is. It is a whole lot better if you can phrase your affirmations on the positive side. I will completely acknowledge that. If you can phrase things in a positive way, as in change, I will not get cancer, into I will be completely 100% healthy from here on out, that is a much better, much stronger statement. But if your mind is in a place, and here's the example that I brought up a couple of times before. When I was at my lowest point in my life, I had read about the idea of phrase everything in the positive, phrase everything in the current time, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the affirmations that I was reading in books were like so sugar-coated, sugary sweet, sappy. It's like that didn't resonate with me at all. But when I was at my worst point, the thing that got me over that sticking point and turned things around for me to where I could start looking up and looking at a more positive future was the idea, the affirmation, things are not as bad as I think they are. And a lot of people will say that's a terrible affirmation. Well, it may be. It may not be the best affirmation, but it's what resonated with me at that time, and it changed my focus. It opened my mind to the possibility that things were better than I thought they were, and that was the follow-up statement. Things are not as bad as I think they are. They're actually better than I think they are. So I went from the negative to the positive, but I couldn't have gotten to the positive without going through that negative statement. So that's the only part that I will disagree with Lori there. But everything else, absolutely 100%, I am in support of everything else that she said.
I'd like to add something. Can you hear me, you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
That people, you have to be careful how you speak of your experience of illness. I hear so many people say, my bad knees and my cataracts and my this and my that. It's really helpful and useful, I think, in creating a healing consciousness, not to call it yours, but to call it, I'm experiencing the appearance of, if that's not too wordy. But I find that very useful. It distances me, and I'm not identifying with it and claiming it as part of my reality, as part of my identity. And really, illness is an appearance. So, and a symptom. I'm experiencing the symptom of the appearance of.
And one step better, I have been. Put it in the past, not present.
Yeah.
Rather than I am, I have
Good.
been.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
really working with having had the experience of this long COVID appearance, and trying to get to the bottom of how I'm creating that, you know. I haven't cracked the case yet.
Well, one thing that I might interject as far as my suggestion, and Lori, obviously you can come in and offer your suggestion as well, but my suggestion is don't even focus on the symptoms, the problem that you're wanting to get rid of. Just simply focus your mind on perfect health, perfect health, perfect health. But even before you get to that, bring up your faith, reestablish. That's the word that I'm looking for. Reestablish a feeling of firm faith. Start by thinking about things that you absolutely know are absolute facts. I know that God is. I know that God is an ever-present source of help in my life. I know that life is wonderful. I know it can even be something as simple as I know that 2 + 2 = 4. I know that the sky is blue. I know that the sun is shining right now. Just focus on what you know to be absolutely facts and try to get that feeling of faith. And once you build up that feeling of faith and you've got it and you can hold on to it and it's a tangible feeling, then shift your mind into the affirmation that you want to make firm. To affirm is to make firm. To affirm the statement, health is my experience. I am experiencing health. My health improves day by day. Just focus on what you want, completely ignore the rest, but make sure to build up your faith first so that you can put that faith into that statement, which gives it more power.
May I add something to that?
Sure.
Rather than just saying, I know, I would also add that I am grateful for the sky. I am grateful for everything. When you start your day with gratefulness, you can be a much happier person. And I've put
Right.
some comments in the notes chat. I don't know if anybody speaks.
Ready to, yeah. And I'd like to add too, that when you do make that, if you did make that statement that I don't want to have cancer, that's based on a fearful thought. So it's actually negative.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
So that, you know, it's kind of saying the same thing, but it's a little bit different way of looking at it. But it's a negative in terms of your subconscious.
Mhm.
It's based on fear.
Yeah, and my definition of fear is a belief in the negative. Because if you didn't believe that something negative or potentially harmful or unpleasant could happen, then you wouldn't be afraid.
Very good. I appreciate your input.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Very, very interesting tonight.
Wonderful evening.
Very much so. Thank you, Lori.
Yes.
Thank you, Lori.
Everyone for their comments and words of wisdom as well.